To improve this system, we have to define two public variables. I'm going to type here public float base angle, and I'm going to define this as 60f, and then public float variable angle, and I'm going to type 15f. So what's going to happen here? I'm going to the project window, I'm going to drag a bouncing enemy just to illustrate this. Okay, so imagine the enemy is in this position. What we want to do is to set a base angle that is going to be 60. So we would roughly move at this angle. But what we want to do is define a variable angle, so we're going to make it move into this angle here, close to 45, or into this angle here that's close to 90. This is going to generate some random game possibilities, and this is good because different matches, different times, and different moments that you play this game, you're going to have different angles, so you're going to have different experiences trying to avoid the bouncing enemy. Okay, so this is what we're going to have, the base angle and the variable angle. Let's not define our actual angle here. So what we want to do is, we need to set if the player is going to be in the left or the right position. This already does that, okay? And let's move this initial velocity block from here to here. Okay, let's do that shortly. So now that we are here, we need to define if our bouncing enemy is going to move up or down. Okay, what we can do here is we can remove what we did for this depth range. Let's just make it stick in the 0 position in Z. It's going to be aligned with the player. There's no problem with this. And now the moving up variable is basically going to be random for now. Okay, we're going to type moving up is going to be random.value. Okay, so let me random.value, that's a property, is greater than 0.5f. So there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to move up or down. Okay, this is what we're going to use here. And left, if it's going to move left, it's going to be the same thing. Okay, it depends on where it starts. Now we need to make a few verifications here. We're going to ask if moving left is true, so we can simply put if moving left here. Then we need to define the target angles. Now that we are in this position here, if moving left, we're going to type if moving up, like this, and we add an else portion. We need to make this kind of verification because the way we're going to calculate the angle is going to be different depending on the case. So in this case here, the bouncing enemy is going to be in this side, and it's going to move up. Okay, so it has to do something like this. Okay, so it's going to be 60 degrees, then it has to move in this direction here. Okay, 60 degrees. And now let's work on the calculations for this. We need to get an angle offset. So we're going to type here float angle offset is going to be 90 minus, then we type base angle. Okay, so this is going to be just the base angle, but we need to define what's going to be the variable angle and get a resulting angle. So outside of this, I'm going to type float target angle is going to be base angle plus, and then between parentheses we're going to type mathf dot random dot range. I'm going to pass 0 as the minimum value and variable angle as the maximum value. Okay, so this is what we're basically going to have. This is going to be our target angle. Now in this case we have the angle offset, so we have 90 minus target angle in this case, and the final angle is going to be angle equals to 90 plus target angle. Okay, so the way this is calculated might be a bit difficult to understand if you're not used to working with trigonometry, but basically what we're doing is it's going to be 60 degrees, so we get the variance between 90 degrees and 60, so it's this part of the angle, and we're going to flip it to that position. Okay, might be difficult to understand at first, but as you practice this, you're going to understand. It's not going to be the scope here, so you can just follow as we make this logic work. Okay, so this is the logic if we are moving up, but now we have to check for the logic if we are moving down. Okay, so if we are going to make a movement like this one. Okay, so we have to do something very similar here. So in this case here, we're simply going to type angle equals to 270 minus target angle. Okay, so it's going to move where we want it to. Now we're going to add an else part to this moving left block, and we're going to ask more or less the same questions. If moving up, then we do something. else we do something else. Now, if we are here, it means that our target is moving to the right and it's also moving up. And this is the easiest of the cases. We can just type here angle equals to target angle. But there is also the case where it's going to move down, okay? So we need to adjust this as well. And in this case, we should simply type angle equals to 270 plus target angle. And we can even make this portion even simpler if we simply type angle equals to 90 plus target angle, okay, to keep things very simple. So let's save this. Let's go to Unity and we're going to test this out. Okay, so let's wait for this compilation to be finished. Let's take off the bouncing enemy from here. And if we press play, then it's going to move in this angle. Okay, notice how close it was for the player. It's almost horizontal. So a way we can adjust this is to select the bouncing enemy and change the base angle to something like 15 and make the variable angle to be something like 10. Okay, so the lesser the value that we use here, the closer it should be in this movement in the depth axis. Okay, so it's going to move up and down and we're able to avoid it. Once it reaches the other places, it's going to, well, bounce back. So the trick here is, whenever we start, we have to define the initial angle for the bouncing enemy. So it's like we're giving a little kickstart for it. It's going to be a random experience. Every time you play the game, you see it moves quicker in the horizontal axis than this case. And in others, it's going to move slower, but you're going to have to time your movement a little bit better. Okay. Now, what we want to do here is, what if we have two bouncing enemies? Okay, let's work on this logic in the next video. There's going to be a little adjustment we have to make.